Chapter 1. The Quiet House. Tom was a boy. He was 12 years old. He lived in a big house with his father and his mother. The house was in a small, quiet town. The town had many green trees, small shops, and friendly people. Tom liked his house. His house had 2 floors. On the first floor, there was a big kitchen, a warm living room with a red sofa, and a small bathroom. On the second floor, there was his parents' bedroom, Tom's bedroom, and another bathroom. Tom's bedroom was his favorite place. It had a small bed, a big blue desk for his homework, and many books on a wooden shelf. Tom liked to read books. He liked books about adventures, animals, and big cities. He also had a small computer on his desk. He used the computer to play games and watch videos. Today was Friday. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Tom was sitting on the red sofa in the living room. He was watching television. Outside, the sky was changing color. It was not blue now. It was gray. Big, heavy gray clouds were coming. The wind was starting to blow. Whoosh, whoosh went the wind against the big glass windows. Tom's mother walked into the living room. She had a black bag in her hand. Tom's father walked behind her. He had a warm coat on his arm. They looked at Tom. "Tom," his mother said. Her voice was soft and kind. "Your father and I must go out tonight. Do you remember?" Tom looked up from the television. "Yes, Mother," he said. "I remember. You are going to a dinner with your friends." "Yes," his father said. He smiled and touched Tom's shoulder. "We are going to a restaurant in the next town. The restaurant is far. We will come home late. We will come home at 11 o'clock tonight. Are you okay with that?" "Yes, Father," Tom said. He felt a little excited. He liked staying home alone. When he was home alone, he could choose the television programs. He could eat snacks on the sofa. He could play computer games for a long time. "I am 12 years old now. I am big. I can stay home alone." "You are a big boy," his mother said. She kissed his cheek. "But listen to me, Tom. Look at the sky outside. There is a big storm coming. The rain will start soon. You must stay inside the house. Do not open the doors for anyone. Keep all the windows closed." "I understand, Mother," Tom said. "There is food in the kitchen," his mother added. "I made a big plate of sandwiches. They are on the kitchen table. There is milk and juice in the fridge. Eat your dinner at 7 o'clock. "Thank you, Mother," Tom said. His father walked to the front door. He opened it. A blast of cold wind came into the house. "We must go now," his father said. "The storm is coming fast. We want to drive before the heavy rain starts. Goodbye, Tom. Be a good boy." "Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, Mother," Tom said. He stood up and walked to the window. He watched his parents walk to their blue car. They got inside. The car started. Vroom, vroom, went the engine. The car moved down the street and disappeared behind the green trees. Now the street was empty. The house was quiet. Tom was home alone. Chapter 2. The Storm Begins. Tom walked back to the red sofa. He sat down. He changed the television channel. He found a cartoon about a funny dog. He laughed. He felt happy. He liked the quiet house. But outside, the weather was getting worse. The gray clouds were now black. The sun was completely gone. It was only 6 o'clock, but it looked like night. The wind was very loud now. It hit the sides of the house. Bang, bang, bang went the wind. The big trees in the garden were moving up and down, left and right. Their green leaves were falling off. Then the rain started. First, it was small drops. Patter, patter, patter on the glass window. But after 5 minutes, the rain became very heavy. It was a real storm. The water came down from the sky like a big river. It hit the roof of the house. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Tom looked out the window. He could not see the street now. He could only see water and dark shadows. Tom felt a little bit cold. He walked to the hallway and checked the big front door. It was locked. He went to the kitchen. He checked the kitchen window. It was closed tight. He went back to the living room and turned on a small lamp near the sofa. The lamp gave a warm yellow light. The yellow light made Tom feel safe. He looked at the clock on the wall. It was 6:30. "I am a bit hungry," said Tom to himself. He liked to talk aloud when he was alone. It made the house feel less empty. He walked into the kitchen. The kitchen was big and clean. On the table, there was a big white plate. On the plate, there were 4 large sandwiches. They had cheese, tomato, and chicken inside. Tom's mother was very good at making sandwiches. Next to the plate, there was a glass and a big bottle of orange juice. Tom took one sandwich. He took a big bite. Delicious," he said. He took his sandwich and his glass of orange juice and walked back to the living room. He sat on the red sofa again. He ate his sandwich slowly and watched the cartoon dog. Suddenly, there was a very loud sound outside. Boom! Tom jumped. His glass of orange juice almost fell to the floor. His heart started to beat faster. Thump, thump, thump. It was thunder. The thunder was very close to the house. After the thunder, a bright flash of light filled the room. It was lightning. The lightning made the dark sky look white for 1 second. Tom looked at the television. The television screen made a strange sound. Bzzz, bzzz. The picture on the screen moved up and down. Then the picture became normal again. Tom took a deep breath. "It is only a storm," he said softly. "It is only rain and thunder. I am safe inside my house." He finished his sandwich and drank his orange juice. He tried to watch the cartoon, but he was not laughing now. He was listening to the noises outside. The storm was like a big, angry monster. Chapter 3. In the Dark. It was now 7 o'clock. Tom stood up to take his empty plate to the kitchen. Boom! Another loud clap of thunder shook the house. At that exact second, the television went black. The small lamp near the red sofa went out. The lights in the kitchen went out. The whole house became completely dark. Tom stood still in the middle of the living room. He could not see his hands. He could not see the sofa. He could not see the door. "Oh no," whispered Tom. His voice was very small. He waited for 1 minute. He waited for the lights to come back on. Sometimes the lights go out for a short time and then they come back. But the lights did not come back. The house stayed dark. The only light came from the windows when the lightning flashed. Flash! For 1 second, Tom saw the living room, then blackness again. Tom felt a wave of fear in his stomach. He did not like the dark. The big house did not feel friendly now. It felt strange and cold. He needed a light. He remembered that his father kept a big metal flashlight in the kitchen drawer. The kitchen drawer was next to the fridge. Tom started to walk. He walked very slowly. He put his hands out in front of him. He touched the wall. The wall felt cold. He moved his feet carefully. He did not want to hit the table or the chairs. Step, step, step. He moved out of the living room and into the hallway. The hallway was very dark. The wind outside made a long, sad sound. Ooh, ooh. It sounded like someone was crying outside the house. Tom tried not to listen. He moved into the kitchen. He touched the kitchen counter. He moved his hand along the counter until he touched the handles of the drawers. He pulled the first drawer open. Creak! He put his hand inside. He felt pens, papers, and some string. No flashlight. He closed the drawer and opened the second drawer. He put his hand inside. His fingers touched something long, cold, and heavy. It was the metal flashlight. Tom felt a little bit of relief. He took the flashlight out of the drawer. He found the small button on the side. He pushed the button up. A bright beam of white light came out of the flashlight. "Yes!" Tom said happily. The white light cut through the darkness of the kitchen. Tom shined the light on the floor, on the table, and on the walls. The kitchen looked normal now. It was just his kitchen. Tom shined the light in front of him and walked back to the living room. He sat on the red sofa. He put the big flashlight on the table. The light pointed at the ceiling, making the whole room a little brighter. He looked at his wrist. He had a small digital watch. The watch had a tiny battery, so it was still working. The watch said 07:15. 11 o'clock was very far away. His parents would not be home for a long time. Tom sat on the sofa, wrapped his arms around his legs, and waited. Chapter 4. The Strange Noise. The storm did not stop. The rain was still hitting the windows. Tom was getting used to the sound of the rain. But then he heard a new sound. It was not the wind. It was not the rain. It was not the thunder. It was a low, heavy sound. Thump, thump, thump. Tom held his breath. He listened very carefully. Where was the sound coming from? It sounded like it was coming from above his head. It was coming from the second floor of the house. Is someone upstairs? Tom thought. His heart started to beat very fast again. Thump, 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 thump. His hands became cold and sweaty. He told himself, "No, Tom, there is nobody upstairs. The doors are locked, the windows are closed. It is just the house. Old houses make noises when there is a big wind." He sat very still. He did not move. He listened. For 2 minutes, there was no sound, only the rain. Tom started to relax. He took a deep breath. But then the sound came again. This time it was louder. Thud. It sounded like something heavy fell to the floor in his parents' bedroom. Tom stood up quickly. He took the big metal flashlight in his right hand. He pointed the light toward the hallway. He did not want to go upstairs. He wanted to stay on the red sofa. He wanted to hide under a blanket. But he knew he had to check. What if a window broke upstairs? What if the rain was coming into his parents' room? If a window was open, the wind could damage the house. "I must go look," Tom whispered. His legs felt heavy, like stones. He walked out of the living room and stood at the bottom of the stairs. The stairs were made of wood. Tom shined his flashlight up the stairs. The light showed the wooden steps going up into the dark second floor. The shadows on the wall looked like big black arms. Tom put his foot on the first step. Creak went the wood. The sound was very loud in the quiet house. Tom stopped. He listened. No sound from upstairs. He took another step. Creak. Then another step. Creak. He moved up the stairs slowly, step by step. He held the flashlight tightly. His eyes were wide open. He was looking at the top of the stairs. Finally, he reached the second floor. He stood in the long hallway. There were 3 doors. The first door was his bedroom. The second door was the bathroom. The third door, at the end of the hallway, was his parents' bedroom. Tom shined the light into his own bedroom. The door was open. He looked inside. His bed was clean. His books were on the shelf. His desk was neat. Everything was normal. No noise here. He walked down the hallway toward his parents' bedroom. The door was closed. Tom stood outside the closed door. He put his ear against the cold wood. He heard something. It was a very soft sound. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Tom's eyes went wide. Something was inside the room. Something was moving. Chapter 5. What is in the room? Tom wanted to run. He wanted to run down the stairs, out the front door, and into the rain. He did not want to open this door. But his hand was already moving. His fingers touched the cold metal door handle. He pushed the handle down. Click. The door opened a little bit. Tom shined the beam of his flashlight into the room through the small opening. He did not see anyone. He pushed the door open fully. The room was cold. A very cold wind blew into Tom's face. Tom looked at the big bed. It was neat. He shined the light on the wardrobe. It was closed. Then he shined the light toward the big window at the back of the room. Tom gasped. The window was open. The wind had pushed the window open because the lock was old and weak. The curtains were flying in the air like white ghosts. The rain was coming into the room. There was a big puddle of water on the wooden floor. On the floor, near the window, there was a big, heavy glass vase. The vase used to be on the window shelf. The wind had pushed the vase, and it fell to the floor. That was the loud thud Tom heard. And what was the scratching noise? Tom shined his light on the floor near the bed. There, sitting in the corner, was a small wet animal. It was a cat. It was a small gray cat with white paws. It was shivering from the cold rain. It was scratching the floor because it was scared. Tom knew this cat. It was Barnaby. Barnaby was the neighbor's cat. Barnaby liked to walk in Tom's garden during the day. Sometimes, Tom gave Barnaby small pieces of chicken. The cat must have climbed up the big tree next to the house to escape the storm. The tree branches were very close to his parents' window. When the wind pushed the window open, the poor cat jumped inside to find a warm place. "Oh, Barnaby," Tom said. His voice was not scared now. It was happy and gentle. The cat looked at Tom. It made a small sound. Meow, meow. It looked very sad and very wet. Tom put the flashlight on the bed so he could use both hands. He walked slowly toward the cat. "Do not be scared, Barnaby," Tom said. "It is only me. It is Tom." He knelt on the floor. He reached out his hand. Barnaby smelled Tom's fingers. Then the small cat rubbed its wet head against Tom's hand. Tom smiled. He picked up the cat. Barnaby was very light and cold. Tom held the cat close to his warm shirt. "First, we must close this window," Tom said. Holding the cat with one arm, Tom walked to the open window. The rain hit his face. It was very cold. He grabbed the window frame and pulled it hard. Slam! The window closed. Tom turned the old metal lock. He pushed it down tightly. Now the window was secure. The wind and rain stayed outside. Tom took his flashlight from the bed. He carried Barnaby down the stairs, back to the safe, dark living room on the first floor. Chapter 6. Waiting with a friend. Tom sat on the red sofa again. He put Barnaby down next to him. He went to the bathroom and found a big, dry green towel. He came back and wrapped the cat in the towel. He rubbed the cat gently to make it dry. Barnaby liked the towel. He stopped shivering. After a few minutes, the cat started to make a happy sound. Purr, purr, purr. It closed its green eyes and went to sleep on the sofa. Tom felt much better. He was not alone now. He had a friend. Even if it was only a small gray cat, it was a living thing. The house did not feel so scary anymore. Tom looked at his watch. It was 8:30. He had 2.5 hours before his parents came home. He felt a little bit tired. He lay down on the sofa next to the sleeping cat. He pulled a big red blanket over his body. He kept the flashlight in his hand, but he turned it off to save the battery. The room became black again, but Tom was not afraid. He listened to the steady sound of the rain outside and the happy purr of the cat. He closed his eyes. Soon, Tom fell asleep too. Chapter 7. The shadows moved. Tom woke up suddenly. He did not know what time it was. The house was very quiet. The rain was not so loud now. The storm was moving away. But Barnaby was awake. The cat was standing on the back of the red sofa. Its body was tense. Its ears were pointing up. It was looking at the living room door. Tom felt a cold feeling return to his chest. Why was the cat awake? Why was it looking at the door? Tom turned on his flashlight. He shined the beam of light toward the hallway door. The hallway was empty. Then Tom heard a sound. It was a new sound. It was not upstairs. It was downstairs. It was coming from the back of the house, near the kitchen. Click, clack, click, clack. It sounded like footsteps. Someone was walking very slowly in the kitchen. Tom's heart stopped. The kitchen door was locked, he thought. The kitchen window was closed. Who is in the kitchen? He sat very still. Under his red blanket, he did not want to move. He did not want to make a sound. The flashlight beam was shaking in his hand. The white light moved up and down on the wall. Click, clack. The sound was coming closer. It was moving out of the kitchen and into the hallway. Barnaby made a low sound in his throat. Hiss. Tom wanted to hide. He pulled the blanket over his face. He sat in the dark under the blanket. He listened. The footsteps stopped outside the living room door. Tom heard a deep breath. Someone was standing right outside the room. Chapter 8. Who is at the door? Tom knew he could not hide under the blanket forever. He had to be brave. He was 12 years old. He was a big boy. He pulled the blanket down. He pointed his flashlight directly at the living room door. The door handle started to move. It turned down slowly. Click. The door opened. A tall shadow stepped into the room. Tom screamed, "Go away! Go away from my house!" "Tom? Tom, is that you?" a voice called out. Tom stopped screaming. The voice was very familiar. It was a deep, warm voice. It was his father's voice. Tom shined the flashlight up into the face of the tall shadow. It was his father. Behind his father, Tom saw his mother. They were wearing their big coats. Their coats were very wet from the rain. They had small flashlights in their hands too. "Father! Mother!" Tom cried out. He threw the blanket off his legs and ran to them. He threw his arms around his father's waist. "Oh, Tom, my dear boy," his mother said. She came and hugged Tom tightly. "Are you okay? We were so worried about you." "I am okay," Tom said. He felt tears of relief in his eyes, but he wiped them away quickly. "The lights went out at 7 o'clock. The whole house became dark." "We know, Tom," his father said, rubbing Tom's back. "The lights went out in the next town, too. The restaurant closed because there was no electricity. The roads were very bad because of the heavy rain and the big trees. We drove very slowly and very carefully. That is why we are early. What time is it now?" Tom looked at his digital watch. It was 10 o'clock. "We're happy to be home," his mother said. "We were thinking about you all the time. You were alone in the dark house during that big storm. Were you scared?" Tom looked back at the red sofa. Barnaby the cat was sitting there, looking at his parents with big green eyes. "I was a little bit scared at first," Tom said with a smile. "But then I found a friend. Look." Tom's mother looked at the sofa. "Oh, is that Mrs. Gable's cat, Barnaby? What is he doing inside our house?" Tom laughed. "The wind pushed your bedroom window open, Mother. Barnaby climbed the tree and jumped inside to escape the rain. He was wet and cold, so I brought him downstairs and dried him with a green towel. We slept together on the sofa." Tom's father smiled and patted Tom's head. "You are a very brave boy, Tom. You closed the window, you saved the neighbor's cat, and you stayed calm in the dark. I am very proud of you." Chapter 9. The Safe House. Tom's mother went to the kitchen. She used her flashlight to find some small bowls. She brought a bowl of milk for Barnaby and put it on the living room floor. Barnaby jumped down from the sofa and started to drink the milk happily. Lap, lap, lap went his little pink tongue. She also brought some dry clothes for herself and Tom's father. They changed out of their wet coats and sat on the red sofa with Tom. Tom's father took the big metal flashlight. "Let's put it here on the table," he said. "It is our little campfire." They sat together in the warm yellow light of the flashlights. They talked about the storm. Tom's father told him about the drive home. The wind was so strong that big branches fell on the road. They saw 2 fire trucks with bright red lights fixing a big power line. "The workers are fixing the electricity now," his father said. "The lights will come back on soon." Tom felt very happy. The house did not feel big and empty anymore. It felt small, warm, and safe. He was sitting between his mother and his father. The storm outside was almost over. The rain was just a soft whisper against the glass. Suddenly, the big television screen flashed. Bzzz! The cartoon dog appeared on the screen again. The small lamp near the sofa turned on, filling the room with bright, beautiful light. The lights on the ceiling were shining. The electricity was back. Tom's father stood up and turned off the big metal flashlight. He put it away. "The storm is gone and the lights are back," he said. Tom's mother looked at the clock. It was 10:30. "It is late, Tom," she said gently. "It is time for bed. You had a very big adventure tonight." "Yes, Mother," Tom said. He stood up. He felt very tired now. His eyes were heavy. He knelt on the floor and touched Barnaby. The cat was warm and dry now. It was sleeping near the empty bowl of milk. "Can Barnaby stay here tonight?" Tom asked. "It is dark outside, and he is sleeping." "Yes," his mother said with a smile. "Barnaby can sleep in the kitchen tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will take him back to Mrs. Gable. She will be very happy to see him." Tom's father carried the sleeping cat to a warm basket in the kitchen. Tom walked up the wooden stairs with his mother and father. The stairs did not creak in a scary way now. They just sounded normal. Tom went into his bedroom. He got into his warm, soft bed. His mother pulled the blue blanket over his shoulders and kissed his forehead. "Good night, Tom. You are our brave little hero," she whispered. "Good night, Mother." "Good night, Father," Tom said. His parents walked out of the room and closed the door halfway. A sweet line of light came from the hallway into his room. Tom looked at his desk, his books, and his window. The room was safe. He closed his eyes and fell into a deep, happy sleep. He was not afraid of the dark anymore. He knew that after every storm, the lights always come back on. Chapter 10. The next morning. The storm was completely gone. Alina woke up at 7 o'clock. She opened her curtains and looked out her small window. The sky over London was not gray today. It was a pale, beautiful blue. The sun was rising behind the tall buildings, sending long rays of yellow light across the stone streets. The puddles on the ground looked like small mirrors reflecting the bright sky. Alina went to the kitchen and made her tea. She sat by the window and enjoyed the quiet morning. Thump, thump, thump. She heard a sound on the roof above her head. It was Mr. Thomas. He was up on the roof, fixing the hole with new tiles. He was keeping his promise. At 8 o'clock, Alina put on her warm coat and her black shoes. She took her bag. She walked down the steps of the building and out into the street. She walked toward the train station to go to her job. The street was busy. Thousands of people were walking fast. They were looking at their phones. They were rushing to work. But Elena did not feel pushed by the crowd today. She walked at her own pace, slow and steady. She looked at the blue sky. She looked at the beautiful stone buildings. She walked into the big office building. She walked past the 90 boxes of computers. She went to the small kitchen to wash the coffee cups. Mr. Green, her boss, walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water. He saw Elena and smiled his friendly smile. "Good morning, Elena," Mr. Green said. Elena stopped washing the cup. She turned around. She looked at Mr. Green's face. She felt a tiny flash of nervousness in her stomach, but she pushed it away. She remembered the phone call. She remembered Mr. Thomas. She remembered Sarah. Elena smiled a big, bright smile. "Good morning, Mr. Green," she said clearly. Her voice was warm and confident. "How are you today? The weather is very beautiful after the storm." Mr. Green stopped. His eyes became a little bit wide. He looked surprised, but then his smile became even bigger. "I am very well, thank you, Elena," he said cheerfully. "And yes, the weather is wonderful today." "Your English is fantastic." "Thank you, sir," Elena said. "I am learning every day." Mr. Green took his water and walked out of the kitchen, nodding his head happily. Elena turned back to the sink. She took another coffee cup and washed it. She felt a deep, sweet happiness flowing through her whole body like warm sunshine. The language was still big, and there were still many words she did not know. There would be more nervous moments in her future, of course, but Elena was not scared anymore. She had a voice, and she knew how to use it. She was ready for her new life in the big city.